Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Daffy's Roundtable. In today's episode, I'm joined by a good friend of mine that you all know very well. Of course, I'm talking about Dayyan of Reptiliatus. Join us as we discuss the diagnosis of crypto that hit Dayyan's reptile room, and then we jump to some more positive topics like Project Mini Dragon. We talk about all the work he's done with the crocodile skinks. We then talk about the Shinosaurus, the Chinese crocodile lizards, and where that project is going. And we discuss some of the other projects, the other really cool projects that Dayyan is working on in his reptile room. This episode was a lot of fun to record, and I think you're all going to enjoy it. But before we do that, allow me to thank Exoterra for sponsoring this podcast and making this episode possible. Exoterra makes quality products for our pet reptiles to make them feel at home. Also, really quickly, before we jump into the episode, if you're not subscribed to this channel or you're not following on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of the other places you listen to your podcasts, please do. It really helps me out and I really appreciate it. Okay, without further ado, everybody please help me welcome the one, the only Reptiliatus. Dayyan, hello!
Hello.
Mr. Reptiliatus, thank you very much for joining me. I'm super excited to be doing this.
Hey, thanks so much, brother. This is exciting to be on.
Yes. How are you doing? How's everything?
I'm good, man. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, just working on different projects. Pretty busy time of year.
Yes.
Can't complain.
That's good.
Yeah.
Busy is good.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
busy is very good. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like I was telling you, there's always something going on here, whether it's things hatching, whether it's dealing with mealybugs on plants, all kinds of stuff. But,
Yes. Well, and we'll dive into some of that as well. It's always reptile talks. They're always so much fun. But before we get into all of that, Dayyan, I'm sure you've already said this story a bunch of times. How did you get started in the hobby?
I mean, it's not to sound cliche, but really, I have one of those stories like a lot of people. It's like I was always that kid that loved dinosaurs. That growing up, I was always playing in puddles and looking for worms and insects and lifting stones up and looking at isopods or roly-polies, whatever you called them back then. And the Jurassic Park movies were like my favorite, and yeah, I'd play toy dinosaurs instead of GI Joes. And I think that just kind of snowballed into this passion and interest for those sort of animals. And when it came to just make believe and play, I was even thinking about them. And I spent a lot of time in Europe growing up over the summers with family, and I was fortunate that lizards were more common there, and anytime I'd see them, I'd like try and catch them and look at them. And I guess as I got older and I'd ask my parents to take me to pet stores, it's kind of like a free zoo, right? I know pet store owners probably don't like hearing that, but it is a bit like that.
It's true.
Yeah, window shoppers. But and then, yeah, that's when he's like, wait a second, you can keep these animals as pets? And then it was like game over from there. And writing letters to my parents, like, I do these chores and like I researched how to take care of this, blah, blah, blah. And my parents are pretty intense. Like they love, obviously they're so loving and caring, but they were not just like, yeah, you can have this. Like it took a while to even have them let me keep anything. And yeah, I mean, I think one thing led to another, and finally I was allowed to get a bearded dragon. And for those of you that follow my YouTube channel, like, don't even go back and check if you haven't. It's pretty cringe at this point. I leave them up for humility and to go back. But yeah, like that's Kovu. It's my old videos. I made videos about her, and I thought she was a boy at first, hence the name Kovu, but from Lion King too. But yeah, and then just started getting more and more reptiles from there. Really.
How old were you when you first started making videos like on Kovu?
So
because you've been creating content for a while.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess I should also clarify real quick that Kovu wasn't my first like herp pet. She was my first reptile. I actually did keep a lot of amphibians growing up. So I think the first animal I kept was actually a rough skin newt, which is super random because I don't know if you can even get those anymore, but they used to come in pretty often from like the Western side of the states, like I guess assume like Oregon or something. It was an Oregon Ute, I think, and it was named Buddy. So I had that Ute, and then I had a few fire-bellied toads, and now I was like, I think I was 8 or 9 when I got those, and I had them for quite a while, so took good care of them. But anyway, when I first started YouTube, I would have been, I think I was in like grade 10, something like that, or grade 11. No, I think it was grade 10. It was, I want to say, I'm embarrassed. It's like you were like an idea back then. No, I'm kidding.
No,
it was like I think it was like in 2009 or something like that.
Wow. Yeah.
And I mean, YouTube wasn't that old. Like YouTube, in a sense, is kind of in its infancy. I remember I was walking. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think YouTube started in like 2006, 2007, right?
I think so. I could be wrong. I mean, you would know better than me. I haven't looked in a second.
2005.
Okay, so I mean, it's pretty.
So you were very early on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember my buddy and I were walking home from school. We had a bit of a long walk to and from. We're walking back from high school. And he's like, "Have you heard of YouTube? Like it's this like search engine kind of thing, and like you can look up anything you like on there, and there's like videos about it." Sorry, my dog. And I was like, "Oh, I wonder if there's videos about like lizards and pets and pet reptiles on there that I can look up." And so,
do you remember if there was?
There were a few, but like, man, the quality was not so great. And then, I mean, through that, I found Brian. Like, Brian was already on there at the time.
Nice.
But some of the videos, like, I was looking up obscure things, like Pac-Man frogs and I don't know, like different things, different critters, like stick bugs, and there'd be random little like one-shot clips, no cuts. It was like a picture camera, just like, this is my stick bug. I mean, I ended up making videos like that myself. So it was super neat. And then I was like, man, I want to do this with the animals I have. I didn't have a camera or anything. So at one point, I think my mom got again, the times are very different. Like, I think a lot of people were still using film cameras. Like, you'd go to the grocery store and process your films. But
yeah,
my mom got a digital camera. And I remember it had a video setting. So I asked her, I said, like, can I use this and make some videos? And that's how I started. So I'd like borrow her camera. And I remember the memory card, like it would only let me film so long. So I'd have to do them like clip at a time. And then I'd go use the family computer during like my time slot to use the computer. And then I'd use the like Microsoft video editor to like piece together a little video and post it on YouTube. And our internet was so slow. So I'd have to like post the video or upload the videos overnight when no one was awake using the internet. And good times. Like, it really humbles you to think how far things have come now with technology, and you kind of take it for granted, but it was an ordeal. And so that's how I got started. And I still remember my first subscriber and all this stuff, but yeah, that's kind of how it all happened.
That's awesome. I wonder if your first subscriber still watches to this day. That would be cool.
Maybe, yeah. I hope so. Yeah. Jacob Hooper, something like that.
You even remember the name? That's
yeah. No, yeah. I remember because in a video I was like, I want to take a moment to thank my first subscriber, Jacob Hooper. I don't know who. Yeah, I don't know them at all, but yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess for me it was just, I don't know. I think seeing all these different people share little clips of their pets, it just was very inspiring. So I was like very compelled to want to do the same. I think that like the sense of community and sharing and spreading knowledge through video content seemed very appealing to me. I think that's the thing that attracted me. It wasn't like a sense of fame or anything. It was just cool to like interact and like the comments and everything. And back then it was also different because you could literally DM a creator, right? Like you could send them a message, which you can't do anymore.
Yeah.
It was actually
kind of go find the email.
Yeah. But like before, you could just literally write them a message, and they took that away now. But
that's awesome. Cool. So on kind of that same train of thought, you said it's cool to just kind of share clips of animals and all of that. How important do you think it is now for the hobby to have creators to be sharing that knowledge to all of that stuff?
I think it's pretty important. I think, how do I put this? I think we need a lot of positive role models in the hobby, whether those are content creators or not. So anything that promotes the hobby and industry in a positive way to me is a good thing, whether that's the different businesses or industry leaders themselves emulating a certain standard or us as creators. I think creators have a very powerful platform, like the ability to connect and interact with, I guess, the consumer base or the participants of the industry is something that a lot of people haven't recognized. Like it's, I don't like to use the term, but like it's almost like the celebrities within a niche. And so you can harness that ability to do so much good, if that makes sense, you know? But it
Absolutely.
also has an immense responsibility that's put on you as a creator. Like if I'm going around, even if my intention isn't to be that role model, people may look up to me in what I do. And if I'm constantly sharing misinformation or if I'm making a lot of mistakes in my own keeping that I'm sharing as the right way to do something, then that can be devastating, right? But on the opposite sense, if you uphold a certain standard and you want to share that with people, the consequence of that is that people that look up to you may aspire to do the same thing. So you have this really unique opportunity to do a lot of good. That's kind of how I see it. So, I mean, I've always gone about it a certain way where I know I make plenty of mistakes. Like, I am far from perfect. And I always try to make that clear in my content. So, I think I'm a pretty open book. Like, I think I reserve the right to not share everything that happens in my life and the way I keep my animals. But I do my best to always share the pros and the cons because I think it's important to kind of ground yourself, but also for other people to recognize that you're not perfect. Like, I don't want people looking at me and be like, Dayyan said to do this, I'm doing that. Like, oh, Dayyan had crypto in his collection. Like, that sucks. I mean, that doesn't mean I necessarily did something wrong to have that happen, but like, bad things happen to me too. I make mistakes. I share, hey guys, I messed up. Like, this animal laid eggs and I didn't think to like give it more calcium so it wouldn't calcium crash. And now I learned the hard way, or I was able to help the animal, or I'm going to the vets and you should too. Like, there's a lot of learning opportunities and you can give people a lens into that world if you go about it that way. So I don't know. It's an elaborate answer, I guess, but I definitely think that content creators can serve as an important teaching tool and also as a tool to give a positive face to a hobby or industry. So that's, I think we're at a very weird crossroads right now without risk of getting a bit controversial. Like these algorithms on social media tend to reward sensationalism and like
Yup.
things that jeopardize safety, or whether it be for the keeper or the animal. And I understand that you're doing this like dance with the devil to like blow up, and maybe the end goal is, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this to keep getting big, but then I'll slow down and do it the right way. But then you become the face of the industry, and then that can be weaponized against us. I think the right now it's of the utmost importance that we really shine the hobby as like, look at this, we're learning so much about these animals, we're treating them right, we're constantly improving the quality of life for them. This is how you can do that too. Like, that's the kind of thing we need to see more creators doing, just like raising the bar for the standard of keeping, showing the success stories, really like talking about how these are, you know, captive bred animals for many generations, and trying to kind of destigmatize the idea that they're, yes, like we don't want to anthropomorphize them either, but like it's not like they're not just wild animals, you know, like we are doing something, getting it to a sustainable point, and that I think needs to be what we emulate. Anyway, I digress,
Yeah.
but very
No,
intense
that's
answer. I
perfect.
apologize. But
No, no, there's no answer that's too long. That's the beauty of a podcast, right? We
yeah,
we
can
have the
tell this
ability to
out
dive into these things. Yeah. Well, no, no, I just mean we can dive
now.
into these things. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So kind of on that also you said you're not perfect. I just want to you're too humble, Dion. You are perfect.
No,
Believe in
man.
yourself.
No, I appreciate it, but I no, dude, seriously, man. Like I've made so many mistakes and I've shared a lot of them too. Like it sucks, but I think the most important thing is to learn from them, and then if you make the same mistake a bunch of times, that's obviously not a good thing. But if you can actually say, oh, I bought a plant from this place and it had mealy bugs, maybe I won't do that again.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Whatever, or quarantine it. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. And speaking of one of those topics, you already mentioned, the crypto. How important was it for you to kind of, once all of that was kind of sorted and you figured out what you were going to do, how important do you think it was for you and for everyone else in the hobby for you to release that video and talk about your experience and what happened?
Yeah, so I mean, that was one heck of an experience for sure.
Sure, yeah.
I think for me, yeah, I mean, I recognize quickly, first of all, if I'm honest with you, if I'm being honest, my understanding of Cryptosporidium was very limited before this happened. Like, I'd kind of heard of it as like a dark folk tale, like,
Yeah.
oh, this is one of the big scary ones. You do not want this, or nidovirus or whatever. Like, but I didn't know anything about it, and I didn't really care to know anything about it because like this is never gonna happen to me. If I'm being real, I don't think it was a place of ego, but I was like, I think I just had this unconscious idea that this couldn't happen to me. Like, I have like one snake, I'm not getting more, or I'm not that reckless in the way I keep
I
things.
quarantine, blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, the what do you say? The proof is in the pudding. Like, my method of quarantining was kind of pretty mediocre, let's say. Like, I had all the sand geckos in bins. They're still in the main room, like on top of other things. That's
Right.
not quarantine. I can take full responsibility for that, or other critters and whatnot. So like, I was using tongs for multiple animals. And like, sure, I'm not like stupid. I'm not going around picking poo up with like feeding tongs or anything, but still, like, something easily could have bit on one pair of tongs and then fed something else with those tongs. And I think I would be okay saying that. I think a lot of people do that. That doesn't make it right, but like, I'm confident right now that a lot of people do the same thing.
100%.
And yeah, that's something you got to be careful about. And so I don't know, like the crypto thing. I was like, man, I'm going through this really negative experience. I can't be the only one that knows so little about this. As much as it's exposing oneself to like a huge sense of vulnerability, I think that something hopefully very positive can come out of documenting this experience, and at least offering as a warning to others that, like, hey, you should be aware of this, and this is what happened to me. I don't want this to happen to you. And then here's a few like little ideas and things to think about to inform you, and hopefully help you prevent this situation from ever happening to you. And I mean, other people have made videos about crypto. Like, don't get me wrong. I wanted to contribute to the whole warning and educational side of it myself through my experience. So yeah, it felt very important to do. And if I'm being honest, I keep hearing about more and more crypto cases popping up. Like, a lot of people have come to me and be like describing symptoms, and I'm like, yikes. Obviously I'm biased now. Like, everything just sounds like crypto to me when I hear like, oh yeah, my this and that threw up, or losing weight, there's a black spot under the belly, and like, I'm just like checking all the crypto boxes. This is not good.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, I felt the video was very important to make.
Yeah. And I think it is more common than we think. And I think likely that some animals are being sold without the people even knowing that they're like, it's one thing to do it knowing you have crypto and selling it and now you're just evil. But like, I think that a lot of people do it without realizing that they have crypto in their collection and they're selling animals, and it is getting spread that way. Could you possibly break down for us, like, just really quickly, because if I'm not mistaken, it hit your snakes, which is one type of crypto, versus like, was there ever a worry that your lizards would get infected as well? Or could you kind of break down that process for us a little bit?
Sure. So, I mean, there is a sense of, there's like a sense of feeling unsettled in a way, because so for my particular circumstance, animals are doing great. Nothing to really notice out of the ordinary. And then suddenly the Mexican black king snake, Kira, I noticed she was looking weird. Like she looked a bit lethargic. And then the lower third of her body kind of was like, not limp, but a bit. And then she regurgitated a meal. I was like, well, that's not good. Like she has heat on everything.
Yeah.
Seemed out of the ordinary. And then I was like, well, I don't know. Things happen. Let's not jump the gun, but certainly the alarm is sounding. And then I think it was a few days later or within the week, because I wanted to wait a week and then try and feed her again. She was spiraling and doing all the stuff we see in the video. So with Dr. Alec, he suggested, I think it was calcium gluconate, oral administration. And I didn't even I literally went to pick up the medicine and got back, and she was like death curling, I don't even know what to call it, and passed away. So we did the postmortem. It was crypto positive. We speciated, and it was Cryptosporidium serpentis, which is technically a snake-specific crypto species that infects snakes. However, through speaking, well, not myself directly, but Dr. Alec has spoken with different veterinarians, and there was a concern that Cryptosporidium serpentis may possibly infect lizards. And that was very scary. And it was one of the things I didn't really touch on in the video because I didn't want to like overcomplicate things. I thought I'd just go with like the common knowledge that we are kind of aware of and is known to most instead of overcomplicating, because I wanted it to be sort of simplified for most people to digest the most information instead of going down little like possible tangents and people are like confused and stressed out. But yeah, so that was also something that added to the sense of urgency regarding doing something about it and having to move animals out of the home or euthanize them, because my, dare I say, collection or pet family is primarily composed of lizards. And so we tested the other snakes. So that was Nib and Pinocchio and Sylvanite. So my 2 rhinoceros rat snakes and my California red-sided garter snake. I don't keep many snakes, for those that don't know. So I only had 3 other snakes after Kira passed away. And unfortunately, the 2 rhinoceros rat snakes both tested positive as well. And the garter was negative, but it was recommended to me that I don't keep her. It could be a false negative, and it wouldn't be worth the risk. And that was let me tell you, man, like when you get these diagnoses, it's so hard to like act on them because the animals themselves are most commonly asymptomatic, which means they have no symptoms. So you're being told like, hey, see that snake that eats for you every day and looks healthy? You should put it down, or it has this deadly disease. Like, and you're just like, it's like psychological torment. It hurts. Yeah. They're your beloved pets. And that can go so far as, for people that have huge collections that are breeding, imagine what they feel. It's like their livelihood too, on top of their beloved animals. So for me, it was very tough to make these difficult decisions. And especially Sylvanite. It's like, sorry, this animal's negative, but I'm being recommended to do this. But when you really try to just take a step back and look at it objectively, first of all, it's not easy for a vet, let alone a friend, to suggest that to you. And I really commend and appreciate Dr. Alec for the patience and kindness. He's very empathetic and very like, well, obviously, he's a friend too. So a very dear friend, but he was very calm and helpful to kind of help me navigate through that. He understood what I was going through, and that was very helpful. But yeah, like it's not easy to make those recommendations, but you have the best in mind for the pet parent and their pets when you suggest those things. It's not just like, oh yeah, like put them down, right? But one way or another, it was suggested to get rid of those animals. And so, yeah, if you've seen the video, I kind of danced around with the idea for a while, and then I was lucky that my friend Braden, who he's just not like, he didn't keep anything else really besides a few frogs. And he's like, listen, man, like I took care of those animals for you, like while I was in Guelph, and helped with your cleaning and maintenance side of things. And he's like, I don't want to see them pass. And if you're comfortable with it, I'm not breeding or doing anything else. Like I'll just give them a good home. And that way they're isolated from anyone else's animals. I'm not getting more stuff, blah, blah, blah. And so I kind of danced around the idea. And I decided, yeah, let's go with that. But please, like, as much as I can't take on responsibility of your actions, promise me that if you're, gonna get rid of them or something, like you'll move to euthanize them and not potentially spread crypto. And he's like, of course. So,
yeah.
and I mean, lo and behold, they're still alive. They're all doing well. So who knows? I think there is a side of it that we don't know. There's still a lot to learn about Cryptosporidium. If I'm being honest, I think that there's a very small possibility, and I don't want to sound like not a conspiracy or something, but I think from the things I've learned, there are more false positive testings than meet the eye. And I would like to even invest my own money into having them retested down the road, just to see for those animals, if they're still asymptomatic, what's going on. For sure, Kira had crypto. Like, she had all the symptoms. She passed away of a disease, right? And tested positive too for a specific species of reptile harming crypto. But the other ones, we didn't even bother speciating because we had a Cryptoserpentis species in the room already testing positive. It's sort of a safe assumption at that point because, and mind you, it's very expensive. Like, these tests are very expensive. The initial crypto test, it doesn't even tell you if it's a reptile specific species. That test is like over $100. And then from there to speciate, because remember, you can have, if you're, let's say, feeding a snake, they can test positive for mammalian crypto, which will not harm them. Because let's say the mice, the feeder mice, can have Cryptosporidium parvum. Like, it's, especially when you keep a lot of animals in close quarters, like, crypto spreads like wildfire. So all the mice could have crypto parvum, and the snake ingests and eats a mouse, and then you test its stool, and it lights up like crypto's there, but it's, let's say, mouse or mammalian crypto. So funny enough, you'd have to be careful because you can get a mammalian crypto strain. But
as in, like, humans can.
Yeah, so there's crypto species that affect humans, not the reptile ones. So if you get crypto, it's a mammalian species. As far as I know, we can only get the mammalian species, but I may be wrong. I know we can't get the reptile ones, and the reptile ones can't get crypto from us. But if it's, so like if a snake eats a mouse that has Cryptosporidium parvum, let's say, which is one of the, there's like a few different mammalian species, like one that affects cattle a lot, but I think parvum is one of them. But let's say mouse has parvum, and I kind of touched on this in that video I made. The snake eats it, and then you do the fecal test, and it shows positive. That's not anything you have to put your snake down for. It's not even going to harm it. It's just a visitor that passes through. So then you have to do the additional test to speciate to know what species of crypto it is, and that's like $200 and something. So you're looking at $300 investment per animal to speciate. So do that math. So obviously you're rolling with an animal's life, but it's a very safe assumption when you have Cryptoserpentis positive, animal dies from that, and then two snakes in the same room have crypto. You're not going to go spend $200 an animal for that. Like, you just know you're dealing with Cryptoserpentis in the room. So anyway, yeah, like, I mean, it's just a very interesting circumstance. So then, I was like testing all the lizards, and thankfully there's nothing going on there. And so the consensus was like, we had no positive or speciation for Cryptoserpentis or varani, which is, varani is the species that's most commonly found in lizards. Go figure, like Varanus, right?
Yeah.
And that's Cryptosporidium varani is what you usually see in leopard geckos. It causes like stick-tail disease and stuff. They call it, it's like the nickname for it. So no positive speciation for any of those. So, and no symptoms, which again doesn't mean anything, but without the positive testing for that, I decided, okay, so we're clear. And somehow I got lucky that it was Serpentis, and it just affected a lot of the snakes. And I mean, that story kind of checks out because I'll usually take all the snake dishes in one load and scrub and wash them. And I mean, it's the same tools. I'm still using that for the lizards, but I guess I got lucky, man. So, I mean, I did take further steps. Like, I think I shared this with you. I decided not to sell any animals for almost a year after that. Like, the whole ordeal started in March, and I didn't sell anything till I think it was like October, November. So like, I had already known for quite some time that none of the animals, at least clinically, were testing for crypto. So that was good. And then I waited longer in case. So I feel good about it. But yeah, it was a nightmare, man.
Yeah, I
Not
bet.
fun.
And the video you put out is an incredible video. And for anyone listening that hasn't seen it yet,
Thanks, man.
it's in the description. Go check it out. One more question, and then we'll move on from the crypto topic because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, though, because all the snake species you mentioned, Mexican black king snake, rhino rat snakes, whatever, they're all colubrids.
Yeah.
Is this a concern with like, can pythons and boas and other species of snakes catch crypto as well, or is it now a different, like, I know I've heard of nidovirus as well, but or like, yeah, I guess can they catch crypto as well?
Yeah, unfortunately they all can. They can all get crypto. Yeah. Ball pythons, boas, they can all have crypto. It's just a coincidence. I mean, I just see it as like that was the right host and the parasite was there, and
Right time, right place, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
again, I'm eternally blessed. Like, obviously, rest in peace to Kira. And it's funny. Oh, it's not funny. It's figure of speech. But I do kind of wonder about Inferno. That was my male California red-sided garter snake who passed away a month or two before Kira. I assumed that animal, I mean, that was sort of a different ordeal, and I kind of owned up to it in the video and talked about it. I was sort of misinterpreting advice that led me to underfeed the animal, thinking that it was obese, let's say. But in part, I thought that he passed away from like trying to regurgitate a meal that was too large. But I do have an idea that perhaps he also had crypto. I don't know, because we never moved to test for that. I just found him like essentially choking on something he had already eaten that he tried to regurgitate. It was pretty dramatic. It was awful. But in hindsight, I'm kind of questioning if maybe he also had crypto. Although the clinical signs, I think, are more directly related to like underfeeding and receiving a large meal when maybe stomach had shrunk. I don't know. I'm not a veterinarian, and again, that's me taking sense of ownership of a mistake I made too. I think I would do things very differently the way I'd keep garter snakes now. But anyway, I don't know. It's possible that there's crypto going on there as well. But it's not colubrid specific by any means. It's just
and it sucks that you'll never really know, and you never really know the cause of it or where it came from either. That's always the scary part.
That's the thing that's very unsettling, because it can be asymptomatic for years even. I don't even know where it originated from.
Yeah.
That's the part that I don't like, really kind of creeps me out. But I just have to hope that it came from a snake and it's gone with the snakes, if that makes sense.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Because really, you never like think of all the people who like are buying animals off Kijiji, off of somebody that's rehoming it after you don't know where that person got it from.
Yeah.
You go to it's definitely more widespread than we think, and just they're just more asymptomatic animals than we think. But anyway, so during that process, we mentioned that the majority of your collection is actually lizards.
Yeah.
And not just any lizards. And you were keeping some of the coolest species. Really, like, I mean, everything you keep is super cool. I think the Shinosaurus is probably my favorite. But anyway, everything you keep is super cool. What was your decision to kind of go with these? What's the right wording here? Like rarer species, and kind of try to work with them, because you are doing a great job with you're breeding the crocodile skinks, which a few years ago not many people were doing, and they were thought of as a like sensitive animal that's very easy to so anyway, what was your decision to kind of work with these rarer, maybe a little bit harder species?
I mean, with the Shinosaurus, it was kind of just, I was very lucky. Like, my friend Manny York had imported a bunch of them before they went CITES 1. I think it would have been like around 2014, 2015, something like that. I don't remember when they actually went CITES 1, but it was a few years before him. And I think it was, what are they called? Monkey Tail Skinks Canada. I don't know if they still exist, but somewhere out west, they brought in a bunch of them all together as a group. And when I lived in BC, we'd hang out. in Vancouver, and
Is
I
that how
went
long
to.
you've had them? Sorry to interrupt. Is that how long you've had them?
No, I haven't had them that long.
Oh, okay.
So he had them. He had them. My friend Manny York. And so when I went to Vancouver, like I lived in Vancouver from end of 2018 till end of 2019, I went to his place and I was like, bro, these are the coolest lizards ever. And at the time, he was considering moving back to Taiwan. I think that's where he's from.
Cool.
And it's like China or Taiwan, but I think he's from Taiwan specifically. And I was like, hey, because at that point they were CITES 1 again. And I don't think he was interested in the whole ordeal of trying to bring them back.
Take them back.
I said,
yeah,
please. Like, to be fair, I wasn't really like even thinking what they were worth, but I was like, if you are going to get rid of these animals, the three of them there in the tank, it's like, please come to me first. And he's like, of course, like, no worries, bro. And I was like, okay, thanks so much. And then I got that message. And I was like, oh my God, I need to make this happen. And he was moving. He needed to move quick too. Like I hadn't even like paid him before he sent them to me, and then I paid him after. But he's like, I just need to get them to you because I'm gonna move. Because it was during the pandemic. I think he just wanted to go home to his family.
Right.
So yeah, that's how I got those. This wouldn't have happened any other way. And as you know, they're incredibly rare, and I'm not happy about that. I wish they were as common as leopard geckos and things. You know, like they're just a very cool animal I want to work with. It's not because that no one has them that I want them. Like I think they're just so interesting. Like they're one of a kind species. And yeah, so I don't know. There's just kind of like I guess, sure, there's like a holy grail element to it for me. Like they're such a cool animal to work with and whatnot. But they also give me a lot of stress. Like they're very hardy and they just do their thing. But the fact that I haven't bred them stresses me out because they're so rare. And if like, God forbid anything happens to them, I feel like I would probably be very guilty feeling about it. Just because, yeah, like there's, to my knowledge, there's just a handful of them. I know a few people out west have, I think it's like the same ratio, 1.2, a male and 2 females. I think the Toronto Zoo has 1.
Yeah. There's 1 in Montreal in a store.
Yes.
They won't sell either.
I've talked to them already. Not about buying it, but like about working out something. I don't know. Anyway,
I tried to buy it. They wouldn't let me.
It was ages ago that I talked to them. I was like, listen, you have a male. Like, should we do a loan? But I get it. Like, I don't feel comfortable lending my male out either.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just a method of trust or anything. It's like you don't know what happens when the animal's not in your care. And it's tough. I know someone in Ontario that has 2 females. So the main thing is like, essentially is like, I have to breed them. And then, and it's not a conflict of interest to me. Like they would be the first people I'd offer them shinnies, you know, right. Or offer shinnies to, because I want there to be more of them. Like we need to build a captive population of these very rare lizards. So yeah, I mean, I love them, but they're also stressful. And like right now, they're just about to go into their dormancy. Originally, the plan was to do that for like 3-4 months through the winter. But talking to a keeper, I figured out that the locality I have is the Vietnamese locality, and that it's actually better to do a shorter dormancy because it wouldn't be as long as some of the Chinese ones go through. So I'm going to take that advice because he's bred them a few times. So I'm just preparing now. Like their lights, they're actually in there behind me. They don't have heat light on anymore for the few weeks. They're off food, and I'm gonna lower their temperatures by putting them in their cremation bins on the floor and then in the cold room. But the cold room right now, I gotta check because it was like a bit colder than I wanted it to be. So I might have to put like a heat source in there to keep it at 55-ish Fahrenheit. Because like the last few weeks, we've had a few days drop down to like 49 Fahrenheit in the cold room. And I'm like, oh, like that's probably fine. But oh my God, if something happens to them, you know, it's stressful.
Take that risk. Absolutely.
So last year, I mean, I didn't brumate them because what happened? I think I was trying to measure the temperatures for a whole winter. The year before, I didn't realize it was stupid, but like, I don't remember what it was. Like, I don't think I was paying attention to it, which is silly of me, but I I put the digital hygrometer thermometer in the cold room. I was like, I just left it, and I knew it was going to map and track it out and put it in a graph for me on the app. But unbeknownst to me, because I didn't check, the battery died halfway through the winter. So I had like the coldest part of the winter, no data for it. I'm like, okay, not putting them through that next year because I don't know. Again, to be fair, I could have put a heating element in to maintain it, but I was hoping that the temperature would just be fine the whole winter. I wouldn't have to do anything. It's looking like I may have to do something this winter. But anyway, the plan is to for sure put them through the dormancy now. It'll be like this week or next week that I put them in and film a video about it with the black-breasted leaf turtles.
Are they already in brumation? Or
they're all off food, and they're like part way through being eased, because the thing is you like want to ease them into it, and they need to come off food. You want their digestive tract to be empty, right? Like you don't want them to have food in them and then they go into cold. It's not good because then it like rots in their body if they don't pass the stool. So yeah, so they're like part way through right now, and then they'll go in there. They have not gone in yet, but again, it's enough time. Like it's like going to be most of February, March, and then the beginning of April is still pretty cold in the cold room. It's not just going to jump up, right? Yeah. And then they'll come out. And I'm hoping that'll make all the difference, because I've had them for a few years. Obviously, they haven't bred for me yet, or you know about it. The only thing I can think that's going wrong is just that they're not getting that cold dormancy. And hopefully that helps like with sperm production, ovulation, etc. And then we got to see from there. I really hope it works.
Fingers crossed.
Like, it would be pretty cool. And then, with that's just the shinies. I know that's such a long answer too, but with
for real, there's no such thing as a long answer on here. Go as long as you want.
Yeah, I appreciate it. But yeah, with the Tribulinotus, the crocodile skinks, I think bro, look at them. They look like crazy, like ankylosaurus, like armored dragon dinosaur creatures or mini dragons, huh?
Mini dragons, Project Mini Dragon. Yes.
There you go. Yeah. And I don't know. I think I've always loved the idea. I mean, even I used to work with Europlatus and stuff, right?
Used
to. And with those, I mean, I've always had for sure this. I don't know if it's like the desire to, how do I say? It's not like uncover and figure out how to keep the animals, but like to contribute to something bigger. I think that's always what I like doing. So it's not to take ownership of any of that process, but it's just to be a participant in it. So I think one of the things I love about the hobby is being able to help establish or contribute to establishing captive populations, and then using, as we've discussed, the whole notion of being a creator, like using that platform to spread that positive knowledge. So with Project Mini Dragons, I dubbed like this breeding project, or this pursuit of knowledge and learning to keep that genus as the Project Mini Dragons. And then I document my process of learning. It wasn't like, again, from the get-go, it wasn't me saying, this is how to do it, I know how to do it. It was like, oh, this is working for me, try this. And this is how we're doing. This isn't working. Oh, Dr. Alex said to medicate them this way. This seems to be a common thing that happens to the wild-caught ones, like da-da-da-da-da. Oh, they're breeding, blah, blah, blah. Like, this worked for me. You should try this. And I love doing that. And I'm so, I guess, honored that I'm having a lot of success keeping them, and that I'm able to help others do the same. And it seems like there's a lot more of them popping up, and people are having a lot of success. And I'm not saying it's because of me, but I hope that I'm contributing something positive to that. So, yeah, I really like them. They're super interesting.
Yeah, you definitely are contributing. I think a lot more than you're giving yourself credit for. Do you have any second generations breeding now, or are they still
funny, man?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
It's funny you say that. I was actually reflecting on this. I have never kept a whole bag.
You've never done that? No, you need to do that. No, you need to try it.
I had a few females and a larger male that I kept. And here's the thing, like, again, I cannot stress enough, they take a long time to mature. These animals live a long time, and they probably grow slower than a lychee, in my opinion.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's not crazy. It's not like we're not talking turtles or anything, but, you know, for a lizard
5-6 years at least.
Okay, maybe not that long. I guess in my mind, a lychee could mature at like 3 years, but maybe I'm wrong. But
No, I've
like,
never kept lychees. I have no idea. Okay,
okay,
yeah.
yeah. Well, I guess I was thinking, yeah. So like minimum 3 years. That's my opinion, ish. They're probably reproductively viable a bit sooner, but I would say about 3 years is probably a good age to start breeding them. And so in that time, like if I've ever kept a holdback, someone came along that just really needed, and like even Darren Hamill, like once I sold him my holdback like female that I produced because he needed her for a breeding project. Like, of course I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
It's not to make excuses, but yeah, I've thought about it. I was like, I need to start holding back more animals, but then yeah, they obviously take space themselves, and it's tricky because I have all these breeding pairs and I know that they live a very long time. Like I have one female that is at least 18 years old and breeding.
Wow.
So
Wow.
like I'm not so worried, but I also don't know how old a lot of my animals are because they're mostly wild caught breeders that are acclimated and have, breeding. So yeah, I'd like to have some F2s or F1s, I guess I should say, going.
Yeah. And it'd be cool
Yeah.
to see kind of your, how it changes generation to generation. But I assume if you've given them, like, I assume somebody has bred your babies at this point, and there are.
I hope so.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It would be cool. It would be cool to see. And now another thing I noticed about them is, like, usually people will say they're super, maybe secluded. I don't know if that's the right word, but like they're always hiding. Um, they're not very friendly or handleable or whatever. But yours seem to, like, just based on the reels and the videos I see, they seem to come out for you, and they seem to, like. Is there a, like, obviously time and repetition, but is there something that you would say about why yours are super handleable versus what other people see?
Yeah. So, I mean, right off the bat, I should say, I think it's obviously there's definitely work that went into establishing that level of trust with some of those animals. So the two individuals that I show like that all the time are Sappy and Sunny, and coincidentally, well, not coincidentally, but they're the pair I've had the longest. I got them in, it was like October of 2017 or something like that, or from Nelson, Tails and Scales.
Wow.
I bought
Long
them at
time.
his table at like an October show or something. And yeah, I mean, I was just very patient, and I've always just, like, they used to be super shy, and slowly, and I've made a video that literally outlines the steps I took to get them to that level. Just tongue feeding, then getting them to come closer and closer to a hand, and then getting them to eat off a hand. And it takes years. It can take years. But there's also individual based, like, characteristics that some animals seem less shy than others. Like I have a few male red-eyed crocodile skinks that, like, were fresh off the boat, like wild caught. They would tongue feed for me in their quarantine bins. It's like,
Wow.
what is happening? Right?
Yeah.
That stuff's kind of weird. So there are individual based, like, bravery characteristics, we'll say, or boldness. But for the most part, I think it is important for anyone looking to get into keeping that genus. They're pretty shy, and it's not really the type of animal you should expect to be, like, handling and interacting with a lot. It's more of like, oh, sweet, I saw my crocodile skink today. It ran away. Like, the feeding dish is empty. It's eating. And, like, oh, there's a baby. They just kind of do their thing. And funny enough, the more cover you give them, the more you'll see them, because they know they can dart back into cover. If you have, like, a cave and a plant in the corner, you're never going to see them until, like, dusk. And they might come out and just run back in because they don't feel like they have a lot of options to hide. So, yeah, but the white-eyed crocodile skinks are for sure, like, there's 100% I'm convinced are a lot bolder than the red eyes, funny enough.
Are you keeping both? Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I have 3 pairs of the white eyes.
Wow.
And then 9 pairs of the red eyes.
Wow. Okay, I did not know you had that many. Yeah.
Yeah.
And are there any other differences in terms of care or behavior other than the white eyes being more bold?
No, like, the care. So funny enough, like, they do come from different parts of Indonesia, but I keep them exactly the same way. I've never had Like, is that what you mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah, like yeah. Do you set them up differently at the
yeah,
different
no,
temperatures?
they're
Anything?
kept
Yeah,
exactly the same,
cool. Yeah,
and they both species are doing very well, prolific. Like all my wide-eyed pairs have between 1 and 3 or 4 offspring with them right now. I thought there was like one baby in one enclosure, and the other day I like walked by and I was like, wait a second, there's like a juvenile hanging out on a log, and then on the opposite side under some plants are just like 2 siblings like chilling under the
that's
fern.
awesome.
I was like, oh, all right, cool. There's 5 skinks in here minimum. It's because I don't mess with them a lot, but if every so often I have to go and pull a few babies because I'm worried that there's gonna be too much competition in the enclosure. But they're getting fed a
Awesome.
lot and they're doing well. And that's part of the interesting thing with them is like these dynamics of cohabiting that you can do so successfully with that species or that genus, I should say.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm really fingers crossed. I won't talk too much about it, but I have plans to hopefully get like 20 of the Tribolinotus schmidti, if you're familiar with those.
Yeah, the knights.
The helmeted skinks are like
Okay, cool.
they're like the tiny little skink from the Solomon Islands. It's the
They're
same
parthenogenic,
genus.
right?
I don't
Maybe I'm not thinking
know.
of the right species.
No, I think you are, but I'm not sure that they're parthenogenic. I mean they could be, but there's males and females. Doesn't mean they're not parthenogenic, but they're live bearing. Maybe that's what you were thinking.
Okay, yeah,
I don't know.
maybe. Yeah. So the crocodile skinks are not. They do lay eggs.
They lay eggs.
Okay.
But this species is in the same genus, but it gets like it's literally like it maxes out at like 2 inches. It's a tiny little skink in the same family, but if you look at it, like if you look it up, it looks like a mini crocodile skink.
That's awesome.
But these ones you can keep in like 2.4s in a tank. And the females they give birth to like a baby once a year that's half their size pretty much.
Wow. Yeah.
Very trippy. So my buddy Armin, if you know
And very
Herptime.
slow reproduction as well. Yes, we had.
Yeah.
I had Herptime on here.
Exactly.
Before. Yes.
So he and I have been talking a lot about it because he has quite a few of them right now that he's working with.
That's very cool.
And so if all goes well, I guess I'll say it here first. He's put a bunch aside for me.
Exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sound the alarm. But yeah, so the plan is to hopefully he's acclimating them for me and I'll import them through him and get some. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, because I've had my eye on them for ages, but I know a few people have done Solomon Island imports, but they're not bringing those in. Like at least not in Canada. It's like always monkey tails and centipedes and emerald tree skinks and the sometimes the leaf frogs. But yeah, so hopefully I'll get some of those because I want to get as many members of the genus as possible. They're so cool. And the way you keep those and learn about them would be very different, right? Just it sounds like the social constructs of how they're kept, the males get along because the other ones, they don't. They'll fight to the death.
One male to multiple females.
Well, not even that. I haven't tried it since, but as far as I know, you can't even keep like 1.2 croc skinks. It's very weird, man. Like it seems to work. I don't even know if it would work to a reproductive age, but you can keep a pair and offspring together. But if you take a male and 2 females and put them all together, the females will fight each other. But somehow maybe they know that it's their own offspring and they don't see it as a conflict of interest. I don't know. But again, I've never kept I've had a male stay with his parents to the point where he had developed the adult coloration, but he was probably a little more than half the size of his father and there was no fighting. But I would argue that he probably was close to reproductively viable. So his father could have seen him as competition, but he didn't. And I've seen this in tokeis and stuff too. I know people that'll keep a male tokei with multiple females, but for most people that doesn't work. The circumstances seems to work well is when it's 2 sisters that were always together and then you introduce a male with them. But I've tried putting a second female tokei with a male and a female, and the new female beat the crap out of the old one and replaced her as the pair, and the other female had to be removed, or they just fight. Again, I can't say this is what happens every time, but from what I've heard, there's weird like exceptions that sometimes work with different social constructs. But I don't know. My understanding is, and talking to everyone in the there's like a Tribulinotus Facebook group and a crocodile skin keeper group. Most people are like pretty adamant that you cannot keep any ratio but 1.1 plus like the offspring together for the gracilis, red eyes, and the white eyes.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, but the Schmitties, you can go crazy. They're just like little tiny guys, and you can have like a bunch of males and females. Obviously, it's terrible comparison. I don't like to compare these things, but I would say treat it like live bearing fish or something. Like I'd probably do like, one or two males and then increase how many females are with them, like guppies, right? You're not going to have one female
one guppy for every three males.
Yeah, there you go, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So I do something similar to like relieve the pressure, breeding pressure on the animals, but I may try it. I don't know. Or we're going to do 1.1s for everything, but it's a lot of space.
Yeah. It'd be cool to have like a fairly big tank and just have like, not obviously I'm exaggerating the number here.
Yeah.
Like, them inside.
Yeah.
And just,
Maybe maybe if they're very, the number goes up, we can try something like that. But for now, especially they're not prolific. Again, it's another thing that like stresses me out about how a lot of these animals,
you were saying.
I don't know how accurate that is, but that's what I've read, and I think Armin has been told too. He mentioned it, not to throw him under the bus, but I think it seems like very much a quality over quantity situation. If you're producing an offspring once a year through like giving birth to it and it's like half your size, I don't think you're doing that often.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Probably not the strain it would have on the individual. I don't know I don't know what the longevity is of that species either compared to the others, but probably a while. But yeah, it'll just be exciting to learn about them. Needless to say, it doesn't sound like any of them are very prolific. I mean, even crocodile skinks, they're laying one egg at a time, and you're probably getting, on average, like 3 to 4 babies a year tops. Right? Because they're usually laying an egg every like 70 to 75 or 90 days tops. Yeah. So
does the baby just kind of do its own thing? Like, do you see it, or do you ever see it following the mom around? Like, is there any parental behavior at all? Have you noticed?
I don't think so, but they do hang out around the adults a lot. And some of my Patreon followers have sent me really cool videos. Like they have like little hidden cameras in their tanks. I'm like, man, I need to be doing that. I need to figure that out ASAP, because the footage they get is so cool. Like it'll just be like, I don't know, the adults curled up in a hide under wood. So I don't know how they got the camera on there. And it's like, set to night vision. So it's just gray, but you can see everything. And the baby's like sitting next to the adults. And I mean, it doesn't show any sense of affection or anything per se, but they're certainly living in a family dynamic intentionally. Like that baby could be hiding somewhere else. There's other options, and it chooses to be with the adults. And I mean, we do see a lot of that more paternal maternal instinct in skinks particularly, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like even with blue tongues or shinglebacks. So it's not that surprising to me. I'm just careful not to anthropomorphize them or give them qualities and attributes that may not be the case. It could possibly be coincidence. Like one of the things I've picked up on in the last few years that I think might be more than just a coincidence is this notion of like sharing food. I see a lot of times where an adult skink is chewing on something, and they do, like crocodile skinks, when they eat, they chew their food like crazy. It's kind of funny to watch. Like they'll go back and forth and really chew it down on like a pulp before they swallow it. But while it's happening, like you'll often see a baby systematically run over and just grab half the thing out of their mouth and run away. And in a lot of other circumstances, like I've seen adults bicker where one will try and steal food from the other, but the animal knows ahead and tries to escape or evade that like poaching. But when it's the little ones, they seem to not mind. And again, I'm very weary to make that claim. I want to be able to document more instances of it. But my question is, perhaps there's like an acceptance or tolerance going on there where they're like sort of living in a family unit, and it's like a strategy that the adults have an easier time getting food, and maybe they're open to like, yeah, like my baby can eat some of this, and just like it's like sharing the meal. Maybe, again, maybe it's a coincidence, but they don't seem to like freak out and try and like, hey, piss off, like that's my cricket, They're
Yeah.
just like, they don't even move, and the baby just comes and takes something off the side. And even with the siblings, sometimes I see a little bit of that. I made a reel about it. I don't know. It's weird. Like in the reel I posted, it was a smaller skink that caught a cricket, and a larger one showed up, and he could have easily just pulled the whole thing away and run off with it. But instead, he just like chewed half of it off and let him hold what was still in his mouth. Again, maybe it wasn't intentional, but like he easily could have stole the whole thing.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
No, you never know.
I'm sure. Yeah. No, I was just gonna say. I think we dumb them down more than they actually are.
Sure.
But you can never actually, like you said, you can't assume either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. Needless to say, whether it be for the sake of learning about like their longevity, reproductive life, and the potential like social implications of how they interact with each other, there's still so much to learn, and like documenting them through video is very much worthwhile.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Awesome. So, a few more questions for you, sir. You've obviously done a lot of very cool travels. You've gone to Costa Rica. We had you on after you you went to Costa Rica, and we kind of talked about it.
I was thinking about that. Oh my god, that was a bit of a weird one for me.
No, it was. I mean, well, the trip itself. Yes. But then you came back. You came back. Yeah, I remember sitting in my car. I was like, I got to run out to the car because my house was so noisy. And we did a little 15-minute clip, and I inserted it into the episode.
And that was such a weird thing. It was like a housemate upstairs was feeling sick, and they're like, please come now. And I was like, okay.
I'm on my way. Dayyan suddenly leaves us again today.
No. Hey, whoa. Let's not jinx.
Yeah, no. But yeah, so and then you did Madagascar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm forgetting anywhere else. But anyway, my point is, any plans to do any more trips?
Nothing is set in stone. Like there have been some opportunities that have come up, and I'm in a very weird position right now. Like full transparency, right now I'm doing a lot of projects through Instagram and like sponsorships and things like that are really keeping me like sustained, because being a content creator is not easy. Sure. And after the whole crypto fiasco, like for that time, I wasn't posting content, and I won't go back into that, but it was mostly because it just didn't feel easy to do while I didn't know what was going on with the animals. So doing updates, potentially endangering animals by pairing them up and things without knowing if they were crypto free just seemed irresponsible and reckless. So there was like 4 or 5 months longer even that I didn't post. And obviously that was a big stream of income that wasn't existing. So right now I'm kind of trying to just get back on the bandwagon of like getting the train moving and actually getting that engine going again, because I didn't realize how tricky it would be to be out of like the YouTube producing for so long and then just throw myself back in. Like in my mind, I was like, this crypto video is such a hurdle for me to put out. If I'm being honest, part of it was not my style of content. Like I'm very happy people loved the video for what it was, and I wanted it to be something good, but it took me so long to make it also because it was like not something I was passionate about making, and the angst of like being that vulnerable and talking about something so negative. But I thought I'm going to post this video,
get back to normal.
And it's proven to be very hard. So I'm right now trying to focus on getting to that point where I'm just posting consistently to have like a more stable income. I'm very blessed and lucky that like things are going very well on Instagram, but like I still want YouTube to be like a primary source of income and also just expressive, like creative content and outlet. I want it to be back to how it was before. I know my viewers do too. And sorry, I know it's an elaborate answer, but needless to say, these trips are expensive.
Yes.
And whether or not you have sponsors, like I think my focus where I'm at needs to be on kind of doing that for YouTube, like getting back to rebuilding the train and getting it moving over the hill. So I don't know, there've been opportunities come up, but there's an element of FOMO and not wanting to miss out too, and like also seize those opportunities. But part of me is like, I don't think I'm in a position to go right now. Like, I think I need to focus on my craft and getting things going first, and then kind of reward myself with that. Because frankly speaking, I know a lot of my viewers appreciate that type of content, but most of them don't. Or I don't want to say they don't appreciate it, but it's not what they watch the channel for. Like, if you
Yes.
look at it, you don't need
They don't
me to
do as
tell
well
you,
as
go look at my videos. If the travel videos aren't the ones that are doing well, they get like half the views or less. So it's not a business strategy or move. It's pure joy, experience, and wanting to share that I would go do it for. So yeah, so it's tricky, man. I'd love to go travel and stuff, and perhaps I will again soon, but I don't know. For the time being, I'll just say, like, I don't even want to talk about potential things because I don't know where it's at, if that makes sense. Like,
no, 100%.
there's
100%.
places I'd love to go, like, I don't know, Peru or Costa Rica again. And
Hint, hint.
yeah, I know there's things we're on the same page about. But yeah, like, I just feel weird about it until I know that something I can feel better about, like, financially, and it feels less reckless. And I mean, there's always going to be some like level of volatility. I don't know if I'm making up words here with like being a content creator, but you have to also, you have to be smart about how you spend your money. And sure, if you have a sponsor, it's kind of a no-brainer. But I'm kind of putting more emphasis and focus into getting YouTube going again right now.
No, that makes sense. And on that note of putting
Mhm.
emphasis and focus on YouTube right now, something new emerged recently. If you want to tell us what that is, what are you now doing on YouTube? There is
you cheeky man. No, I mean, I haven't even talked about it, but I'm happy to share it. Yeah, so I've been keeping it like sort of under wraps while it's grown, and thank you for being like one of the first supporters of it, bro.
Of course.
Engaging with the content, everything. But to some it might sound funny, but I decided to start a shorts channel. So it's literally called Reptiliatus Shorts. And
subscribe.
Yeah, please do. And yeah, so I mean, I just want to post daily tidbits on like what I do in the reptile room with the animals and critters. Some of it may be cross-posted content, especially now while I'm just getting the engine moving, using that metaphor again. But I hope to be posting a lot of original content, just giving like updates on different critters, feeding clips, etc. Just to give that kind of short form style content. I thought about just doing it on the main channel, but without getting too into it, I'm not convinced that the algorithms are as cohesive as I would like them to be in the way that they help the channel grow. So I think having it curated separately might be the better move. And I see a lot of larger creators do the same thing. So we're going to see how that goes. I don't think it's the wrong move to have it be separate. But I mean, there'll be ways to like link them and tie them back to each other. So they're still going to be part of the same Reptiliatus brand, if you will.
Branding,
So I mean, the channel's live. There's daily content going up. I've missed like 2 days. I've told myself I'll post 3 times in one day to catch up. But like I'm doing a reel. It's all the same thing. A short every day. On that channel.
Short form vertical content.
There you go. If you would like to check it out, please do and interact with it. But yeah, I'm very proud to say it's very humbling to start a channel new again. Like, it's been exciting and also just so weird. Like, you make these clips or post a short and you're like, what the heck? This has 5 views in a day. You take it for granted, like how hard it is to hustle and grind from that stage of development. Like, I'm so honored. I have 31 subscribers now, but like at the same time, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, I'd get like 100 followers in a day on Instagram, if not more. And I also lose a lot too. When you're at that big, you're losing and gaining, but it's just, it's so funny to have those humble beginnings, but you can see the growth. So if you'd like to support there, please feel free. The plan for me was to kind of go live with the channel and talk about it when there's already like a decent catalog of content there, so people have something to actually subscribe to, and it's not like, hey, I just started this, there's like 2 clips, please subscribe, right?
So
But
well, this you have about a month and a bit. This is very pre recorded, so
thank
hopefully
you.
it's up and running and
Hey.
and in good. Yeah,
If I'm disciplined, there should be at least 60 videos by then total.
perfect. So it'll be a good time to announce it at that
maybe
point.
34 subs by then instead of 31.
Awesome. It is fascinating though that people don't jump platforms. Like when I started YouTube as well, I had a decent following on Instagram. I started YouTube being like, okay, if I can get everyone over there, then and maybe like 5 people from Instagram moved on to the YouTube. So it's very interesting. And then also on the topic of making it a second channel, I am with agreement of you. That's why this podcast is a completely different channel than my other channel, because I didn't want obviously these don't do as well as or on YouTube at least. There's not as many people listening to them on YouTube as my YouTube channel, so I didn't want that to affect the algorithm. I don't know if it really does or not, but I guess we'll find out together.
Yeah, well, we'll support each other through it, bro.
100%. And on that note, actually, any final question? Any future plans that you wanna tell us about? Any? I mean, you already told us you're getting a new species.
Yeah, I mean. Okay, so I'll share a few things. Right now, the next video coming out, I mean, you will, I guess, have maybe seen this by the time this comes out, but I'm working on a bunch of content again for YouTube, like not just short form, but long form. So, I mean, right now I'm working on a big update video that'll talk about like some of the major projects that are going to happen, whether it being like cooling the shinies, the leaf turtles, bunch of enclosure upgrades, other things. Yeah, I don't know. Just trying to get back to creating consistent content once a week at least to start, and maybe some reimagining what I'm keeping and bringing some things back into the picture that used to be there and very near and dear to the heart. We'll say that.
I like that hint. I like that. It's the second time you hinted. I like it. I won't go anywhere in that.
Here's a hint.
Third time he hints at it this episode. I love it. I love it.
If you know what that is, do the math.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're gonna have to have a conversation after this as well, because I want to hear about that too. But on that note, Dayyan, thank you very, 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 very. I could go on. I could say very for a long time. Thank you very much for coming on. It is always an honor to have you on. Obviously, you're a good friend outside of the YouTube world as well. But it's always nice to collaborate with friends and kind of, this is it makes it more fun, I think. And so anyway, on that note, I'm sure everybody here listening already follows Reptiliatus, but if not, where can people find you?
Thanks, brother. I mean, you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I mean,
it'll stay.
It'll stay. So TikTok. And then I mean, those are the main places.
And the second YouTube channel as well.
Yes, the second. Yes, thank you. You're doing a better job advertising than I am.
I love it. That's cool.
Thank you so much.
Yes, of course. All those links will be in the description. Go give him a follow. I'm sure most of you already are, but if you're not, you're making a mistake. Go give him a follow. And Dayyan, once again, thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks so much, brother.
Of course. And everyone else, thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next one.